Vivid Life is a short but very interesting tale about a girl who discovers her skeleton is not hers. She then steals an X-ray machine and flees to investigate her own body. At the very beginning of this small adventure, let's call it, the game properly warns you about self-mutilation and allusions to abuse and PTSD, which is appreciated, as these are very delicate topics. And I think this small tale is going to hit a little bit hard for us that have dealt with the topics mentioned before. And being completely honest, despite the game being really well crafted, the pixel art being on point as usual, as well as the music being simple yet delightful, this was a bit of a hard experience for me. As for the rest of the story, I think that our protagonist goes into that journey because of her past. We never clearly know, but she constantly mentions a person that most likely abused her since she has stories that can explain some of her injuries. Now what I feel when playing this small adventure is that what leads this girl to believe her skeleton is not hers is trauma, of course. Trauma can affect your thoughts very deeply and can change the perspective of things, of reality, even to the point where we consider crazy conspiracy theories about secret military agents. A little detail worth mentioning is how the protagonist seems to be pretty familiar with self-injuries, and it probably is me, but it just seems like she's calm, like curious instead of angry or sad. We clearly don't know for sure since we don't have a voice actress to give a full personality, but that's also a good thing since it is up for interpretation, and I think that trauma is in general the most recurring theme of the story and the main motivator for what's going on. I'm not trying to diagnose her, I'm not a psychiatrist of course, but people deal with trauma in very different ways. This is probably what's leading her to do all the things that she's doing, her trauma. Another thing that was uncertain and strange at first was the constant message that popped on, "Please come home," which possibly becomes clear at the end, and it was definitely uncomfortable and even scary to see him standing there. It's probably because of this really notorious and big brace, or probably because his head is bandaged and we can't see his face clearly, but there's just something wrong, in that ending scene. Ultimately, the options and evidence is up for interpretation, and one can create different scenarios based on what they think. It was an interesting, unique, and to a certain degree uncomfortable experience. This last one doesn't affect this short story, and I encourage you to try it out for yourself. You may enjoy it. I think it's great, really well crafted. It tackles sensitive topics in a creative and unique way, and I just think it's a well done mini adventure. I try to be as respectful and careful with such topics, and it's really interesting when games are centered throughout mental health. A short explanation is that Lainey, hope I'm not mispronouncing that, and that's the name of her protagonist, practiced self-harm, and she was abused by Johan, that's the name of the mysterious figure, or at least that's what I think he is, because at the end that person is just labeled person, not actually Johan, but she constantly refers to Johan, so I'm just gonna call this mysterious person Johan. Our mystery boys, and also he's always associated with previous injuries of our protagonist. While at first we are led to believe or lean towards more fantastic or crazy answers, ultimately it's all related to trauma and abuse, and our protagonist is considering every possible explanation for why her body is so badly damaged and why her skeleton might not belong to her. And I think that this journey will make her realize that in fact it is her skeleton, it's hers, and she's just struggling with reality due to her dark past. It was really hard to make a proper review / analysis of this short story without spoiling anything since this is particularly short, so I apologize for that, but it was really the only way that I could do this. This short video game / tale was made by Deconstructeam. This small studio is very characteristic with their calming soundtrack, unique pixel art style, and deep narratives. And I want to make videos about their other games and demos / small stories, especially the Red Strings Club, a game I enjoyed a lot. I want to start this small series under games with the short ones, since the script for the Red Strings Club is going to take some time as I want to make proper justice to the game. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Like I said, I'll go into their other games in the future. If you care to stick around, let me know in the comments. I hope I was extremely respectful with the topics I mentioned before. As I said, I deal with some of them, especially self-mutilation, so I really hope I was just being respectful with the themes, and I apologize if I wasn't. And one last thing, I want to thank the developers for making this short story and making their games so focused and narrative, and I want to thank them for creating really interesting, deep and unique stories. Be sure to check them out. They're really great people and they deserve more attention. Anyways guys, I'm Dead Fox and I hope you have a wonderful day.